Indigo Park Chapter 1 just got a huge update. Not only did the game get some bug fixes and quality of life improvements, but it also got some new puzzles, some new Easter eggs, and of course, some new lore. Hello horror fans, it's time for another Tericho Theory, the show that was British way before game theory was. Honestly, at this point I think they're just copying me. But earlier this year we took our first steps inside Indigo Park, the latest horror game to take an abandoned location and fill it with deadly children's mascots. We've had a pizzeria, a toy factory, a theme park. All we need now is a haunted chocolate factory and we've got the set. Now while it might have taken inspiration from Disneyland, Indigo Park is like its dark mirror. Disney went on to become a massive corporation, still making obscene amounts of money to this day. But something terrible happened at Indigo Park. For some mysterious reason, the park eventually closed and the company faded into obscurity. In Chapter 1, we played as Ed Ensign, an urban explorer and content creator with a knack for getting into places he shouldn't. But it turns out he really shouldn't have gotten into Indigo Park. To figure out the real reason why the park closed, Ed breaks in alone in the middle of the night. But while it might have been closed to customers, that doesn't mean it was abandoned. Ed is greeted by Rambly AI, Indigo Park's main mascot, their version of Mickey Mouse. Straight away it's clear that something is a little off though. Rambly is, well, just a little bit glitchy. Now this isn't surprising, I think Rambly's probably missing 1 or 2 Windows updates, but he genuinely seems happy to see us. But as we start to explore, it becomes clear that something is wrong. As Ed makes his way through the park, we start to get our first clue that Rambly doesn't exactly get on well with all the other mascots. While he seems to be friends with Molly McCaw and Finley, we can see that Rambly really doesn't like Lloyd. But to make this even more complicated, as we make our way through the park, we are stalked by something. Watching us in the shadows is a living version of Molly McCaw. This isn't the only living mascot though. While exploring Lloyd's stage area, we have a run-in with another living mascot. This time we are stalked by Lloyd the Lion. He tries to grab us as we leave, but lucky for us, the critter cuff that Rambly gave us earlier emits a high-frequency sound that wards him off. No wonder Rambly hates Lloyd. You keep those grabby hands to yourself, mister. The final segment of Chapter 1 has us navigating through Molly McCaw's domain. After solving some puzzles and playing chicken with Molly, she eventually decides enough is enough. For some reason, Molly suddenly becomes aggressive. No longer playing with us, she chases us through corridors and vents until we finally get one step ahead. Now Rambly finally admits he knows more than he's letting on. He's been telling us that the park is in disrepair, but he neglected to tell us about the murderous rampaging mascots. Chapter 1 ends with us seeming to agree with Rambly's plan to get the park up and running again, leaving us with the tease that we're going to be meeting Finley in Chapter 2. Now of course, the game wouldn't be a mascot horror without some hidden secrets for us to find. The biggest secret in Chapter 1 revolved around the one mascot we haven't talked about yet, Salem. Salem the skunk has been set up as this game's wacky villain character. In the cartoon-style posters we see, Salem is shown as the trickster, using their potions to wreak havoc on the others. But this character might be far more important to the story. So far, Salem and Rambly are the only characters we haven't seen living mascots for, but we do get a glimpse of Salem in the video game found in Molly's area. Here, Salem uses their potions to turn Molly aggressive, possibly a hint as to why the Molly mascot also turns aggressive shortly after. But in this video game, we could also find another Molly McCaw. In this game, you can find a secret pathway that leads to Molly being held in a cage. Getting too close causes the game to glitch and restart, but this was our first clue that there was a deeper secret to these mascots. This gets even more mysterious when you consider some of the voice lines Molly has throughout the game. Molly can copy voices, which makes sense, she is a macaw, but one of those voice lines is, "Get back in your cage, bird." Now I previously theorized that this was hinting that behind the scenes these mascots were being mistreated, especially when combined with this line. "Get up, you stupid freak." Now the obvious theory here is that these mascots turned aggressive due to this mistreatment. This is likely why the park closed down after having its own accident or horrific event, like the Hour of Joy or the Bites in Five Nights at Freddy's. But we didn't really get that many clues in Chapter 1. It raised all of these questions but didn't really give us much to go on. That is, until this latest update. You see, the trailer for the new update had hints that there were going to be new secrets added to the game. Hidden in some of this text was a cipher. Now the update changed a bunch of locations around the game. The gift shop had some new additions, and the entrance to Rambly's Railroad was given some new posters for us to theorize over. Oh, and of course, the cat is back. But hidden throughout several areas of the game were more of these ciphers. One was even hidden in the noise of the Tericho revealed with a spectrogram. But to decode them, players had to solve a brand new puzzle. After finding all the collectibles in the game, this door opened revealing a new room with a computer and a printer inside. Then, after finding 5 of these new Rambly plushies, the printer gave us a picture of Rambly with the cipher for his name below. This also unlocked one for Molly, but you had to go searching for it. Now the community very quickly got to work decoding these ciphers. These led to several codes that, when entered on this terminal on the Indigo Park website, led to 4 brand new images. Now these images actually contain some massive clues to the biggest mysteries of the series so far. We can see an image of the living Lloyd in a cage. This pretty much just confirms what we already knew about the living mascots and how they were kept in cages, but we also see a large amount of blood on the cage floor. Now this could be Lloyd's blood, but looking at the other images starts to paint a picture. This image shows the door that we closed on Molly. You can see the position of the shelf matches up perfectly, but notice what you can't see. Molly's body isn't there. Someone dragged it away. Now we can see where this blood trail ends up. The next image shows it in Lloyd's area, possibly hinting that it was Lloyd that dragged her body away. I mean, after all, it makes sense. Lloyd is a lion and Molly is, well, meat. We also know that these mascots are living creatures, so it would make sense that they have to eat. This could be a massive clue to this game's event that closed down Indigo Park. These mascots, being both trapped badly and hungry, have already been shown to be incredibly dangerous. The only protection that we have is our Tericho, able to emit a high frequency that repels the mascots when they get too close. But we've also seen that these cuffs are not foolproof. The one we are given seems to be malfunctioning from the start, and it doesn't seem to protect us from Molly. Now perhaps this was because of Salem's meddling, but I'm willing to bet that the reason why Indigo Park shut down was because either someone's Tericho malfunctioned or one of the mascots was altered by Salem. Either way, I think these images are painting a dark picture. The incident at Indigo Park was one of the guests being attacked by the mascots and eaten. But there is also another clue with these 4 images. These 2 are clearly CCTV and are set after the events of Chapter 1. This one obviously is, and we didn't see any blood on the stage when we were there, so someone dragged Molly through here. But these 2 are both in colour, more like photographs, and this one was definitely taken before the game. I think it's a safe bet that this caged photo of Lloyd was taken in the past too. Either someone was severely mistreating Lloyd, or he was being fed living prey. Now on top of this, we get a deeper look at how these mascots were made. The image labelled Beginnings shows us an egg in an incubator in what looks like a lab. Now the temperature display here shows us that the egg is set to 37 degrees, right within the hatching range of most eggs. The screen on the right even shows us a parrot, probably a macaw. Now the implication here is obvious. These mascots are now confirmed to be genetic experiments, grown specifically for the purpose of becoming mascots for the park. The name Indigo Park might have actually been a clue to this all along. The game is clearly taking some inspirations from Jurassic Park, as well as all the other mascot horror games. But hidden in the 2 photographs were even more codes. In the darkest corners of these 2 images, we got first to release, second made, and then we are not the same. Now I actually think these are huge clues to the mysteries of Indigo Park. First to release, second made likely means that there was another experiment created before Molly, one that for some reason was never released to the public. It seems like this experiment was a failure, but there are 2 ways that you could interpret this message. Either Molly was the second mascot to be created, the first one being one of the other characters, or there were 2 Molly experiments. The first being flawed in some way, perhaps the experiment was a failure. But that then begs the question, what happened to that first experiment? Was it destroyed, or is it still somewhere in Indigo Park? Considering we see how dangerous the successful experiments can be, just how deadly are the failures? Now, we are not the same is a little bit more vague, but I do think it's really interesting when you consider the fact that there are at least 2 of every character. We have the cartoon characters, in Rambly's case the AI, and then the living mascots. This could be a hint that the relationships we see between the cartoon characters don't match up with the living ones. While Rambly might be friends with Molly and Finley in the cartoon world, it's not so true in the real one. These mascots are, after all, animals. They might have been genetically modified, experimented on, but they are not as intelligent as the cartoon would lead Rambly to believe. But with how glitchy and confused Rambly AI is, it's hard to tell whether he can truly tell the difference. But all of these new images are teasing that Chapter 2 and beyond might be much darker than we thought. We still haven't seen the mascot versions of Rambly nor Salem. I think this is hinting at the fact that while Rambly AI might be friendly, Rambly mascot will not be. After all, the creator of Indigo Park has consistently told us that Rambly is friendly. Mason keeps telling us that Rambly is not the bad guy of the series, but he has only ever referenced Rambly AI when talking about this. But mascot Rambly is likely just as deadly as all these other experiments. After all, they are not the same. I think in my previous theory I was very close to one of the major themes of the series. I talked about Lloyd possibly replacing Rambly, but it's pretty clear now that Rambly replaced Lloyd. This might explain why Rambly is so jealous of the lion. He is the new kid on the block, and while he might be the fan favourite, there are still a lot of people who like Lloyd. And now that Indigo Park has had its downfall, perhaps Rambly feels responsible, especially if it was his mascot that caused it. After all, if Rambly is the newest mascot, then his experiment was likely the last. Either way, I think Chapter 2 of Indigo Park is shaping up to be much darker than the first. This new evidence has me very excited to learn about those experiments, and of course, to see those missing mascots. I hope you enjoyed this theory, and if you're looking forward to more in the future, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss them. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.